Well, what are we doing today? Well, we're looking at the side of my computer, or my main workstation at least. I have several computers. Now, this episode's going to be in full HD 60 Hertz. I'm filming on my new S21 Ultra. I haven't worked out how to get 4K happening yet, so for now this is what we're going to go with, and I'm hoping that this 60 frames makes it look a little bit smoother. Anyway, we've had a new delivery arrive that involves that computer. I've got another MP600. Now, there is an MP600 already in here, but it's an X570. This one's like an NVMe. I am not sure if I've ordered the wrong thing or not, because I haven't quite kept up with their SSD standards. So I do have a second slot in here. We'll see if this fits and see if it works. And but this is going to be the secondary storage drive that I'm going to be doing, my working drive, and hopefully that should free up both space and runtime for the operating system on the other drive. So anyway, we need to get everything stripped off the back of this case here, and the case tipped down here so we can open the glass door, which I can't buy left hand or right hand side opening cases anymore. They're all left hand side cases. Really frustrating, but anyway. And I also couldn't buy drives with CD-ROMs, sort of like 3.5 inch bays, or sorry, 5.25 inch bays anymore to put a CD-ROM in. So I have a USB one hanging up here on a big long extension lead. That is also my gripe about modern computer cases. Anyway, let's get this one down and see what we can do with it. Now, before we take it down, I have to remove all the stuff off the top, which is probably blocking the air vent. So probably unwise, and I do need to clean the air vents while I'm here. So we'll probably do that. Now, this guy can go up like that. Here's a relic, a USB floppy drive. I actually have some actual original floppy drives kicking around too. I think I've got a 5.25 somewhere as well. I do have some 8-inch floppy disks, but sadly I don't have a drive for those anymore. Alright, I got to turn this thing off. Let's turn that off and let it shut down. Now you'll notice that this monitor up here is, this guy is my third monitor. So if I've got file transfers and stuff I don't need to be looking at straight in the face, I put it on this small monitor up here as a third output. It's kind of nice. Helps me keep track of like status and system stuff. Alright, I've yacked enough to keep us distracted. Let's tip this case over. Oh, I hit the power button by accident. Let's lay everything. Oh, alright. I forget there's some long cables on here. Give me a minute to figure out what I need to turn on and off. Alright, so it turns out it was mostly just network cable I needed to remove. Well, it looks like I probably do need to vacuum that fan out and this grill as well. I might have a crack at that before I do too much else. One moment. Alright. I should take this out and put it under the air compressor, but for the moment it's a wet and rainy flood season actually, but it's raining cats and dogs, and I think the local river's up about 4, maybe 5 meters, so I'm not going outside. Alright, that's a bit of minor maintenance done. We'll do that filter properly later. It's not what we're up to at the moment. Tempered glass. Ah, that's right. Drop off hinges. I wish I'd known about that when I put the case together. That is new to me. Alright, let's get into the case. Alright, we need a light source. Better light source. That's a better light source. Now in here we have a Ryzen 9 3950X. Oh, that might be why that USB port wasn't working. That slot's not in properly. I have a Ryzen 9 3950X. We have a Noctua cooler on here, passive cooling, because you know water cooling was just too much hard work. The SSD slot is buried underneath, I think, that cooler right there, so I might have to pull the video card out to do that. Fortunately, it's not too difficult to do that. Alright, so let's take video card power out and find a screwdriver. Alright, screwdriver has arrived. Now there's 2 thumb screws here to pull out, and of course they're going to fall in. Let me see, I have a magnet up here somewhere. This is a teeny tiny little magnet, but it might grab it. There we go. I'm still worried about magnetically damaging things, and I'm not using mechanical drives anymore, so none of the storage I'm really using is actually magnetically sensitive. And it's about now I realise my desk has developed a slight lean and all the screws roll off the edge of the bench. Alright, now PCI Express cards have a lock. Let's see if I can get that lock out. Oh no, I need a longer screwdriver. One moment. Alright, now we're back with a longer screwdriver. I can see that port lock, and I can unlock it. It appears to be unlocked. I want to be careful here because I don't want to damage the board itself by slipping off this lock. There we go. And that card should be in the keyboard. So I've got blue on the top, white in the middle, red on the bottom. Alright, I will go back over my video to remember that color code later. Light source. So there's one of the SSDs. There's the other slot. Actually way away from that card. I didn't really need to remove it, but I've got some real estate now, so let's work with that. Let's get this SSD out of the box. Alright, because I'm in casual attire, not in my work shorts, so I'm going to have to use my hunting knife and possibly the gut hook here to get this box open, or the side that will slice my finger off. Might do just as good, and that side as well. There we go. Alright, or I could just tear the box open. Now you might hear some crashing and yelling in the background. I'm not sure how good the microphone is on this S21, but there's a slamming door you no doubt heard. I live in a street with, at least some of the neighbours are of a certain calibre, which I will not go into detail about. Needless to say, it is a little noisy living near them. But tonight they're really focused on each other, so we don't have to do anything about it. Well, it certainly fits the slot. Now, I need to go back to my kit of parts and find a screw. Yep. Oh, let's get my hands so that you can see what I'm doing here. I'm using an MSI board, by the way, if you haven't already guessed. Yep, that should go in alright. I need to find a screw. Let's find my screw kit. Now here, this is the box of screws that actually came with the motherboard, or the cooler, one of the two. I think these are of the right thread to fit that. I'll have a look. I've kind of continued to use that box of screws for holding pretty much all my computer screws at the moment, because my existing system was left a little bit to be desired. So let's go and put this screw in here, hoping that's the correct thread. I need to remagnetize the screwdriver. I think I'm in there. You know what I might actually do, so I might just gently lift this guy out. I will determine if I have the correct thread screw, which I do not, and I will be back. Alright, so I unscrewed the standoff that we're going to need to use, and I found in all the screw kit they only ever issued me one screw to hold an SSD down. Not sure what was behind that decision, but anyway, I went through all the screw kits and all the bits and pieces I've got, and the thousands and thousands of rando screws and nuts and bolts I have. I don't have anything that's 2mm. Oh, wait, I tell a lie, I did buy some 2mm stuff a while ago. Okay, I do have a backup plan. this is the heatsink that went where the SSD usually needs to go, but the MP600 has a built-in heatsink and doesn't fit under this, so I took it off. But this is the right thread. It's a 2mm thread. But now that I've actually identified that as a 2mm, I think I might know where I've got some stashed. Now, I have a King Chrome parts box, and I keep a stash. I use that as my field kit. I keep a stash of nuts and bolts in here. I recall some years ago, I went down to my local bearing shop and I said, put an assortment of stuff in here. And I grabbed like a handful of every size nut and bolt. And in amongst that, there were some 2mm. My dexterity is not great between MS and hand sanitizer. Well, what do you know? I have some 2mm. However, they're miles too long, so it's progress nonetheless. Now I could cut that down, but then getting that started would be a real problem. Do I have anything shorter in 2mm? I do not, but I have lots of 2mm. I've got a few spares, so I could try cutting one and seeing how it goes. I think that's all I've got in that length. Let me do some thinking and we'll be back. Alright, so I've done a bit of thinking and I've cleaned up all those screws. I'm going to try and cut one of these with a pair of side cutters. Now I'm pretty sure they're stainless. And I have a pair of jumbo cutters somewhere. Now the police have arrived across the road and one of the officers accidentally set the alarm or the duress alarm off on the vehicle. What do you know, I can cut it short. Now let's see if this will actually thread into that hole now that I've cut it and deformed it. Oh, it's feeling a bit rough. It's going to be hard to get into a computer case. Well, it will go in. Maybe if I seat it in. I've stuck a magnet on my screwdriver with a bit of blue tack here. Right, well that screw will go in. It's going to be a little tricky, but it will work. And it's stainless, so it's not magnetic. We'll have to put some blue tack on the end, or even just hot glue it onto the screwdriver, which is what we might do. Alright, let's get this screw prepped. Alright. One thing I do miss off my old Sony Xperia, or my XZ Premium, is that you could actually use the flash as a torch whilst you were videoing. But it appears the S21 doesn't have that feature, at least not that I've found yet. I could probably try Pro Video mode and see how that goes. Now, I need to hot glue the screw on the end of this. So rather than hot glue, I decided I'll try some blue tack. Now, let's get a hand in here. Insert our SSD into the slot. Now, this feels wrong pushing it down like this. Feels like I'm going to break something. And luckily, pre-threading the screw helped burr it out a little bit on the top. So it's gone in nicely. The blue tack will lift out fairly well. Alright, I think we're installed. Now we've got to get video card back in. Thankfully I have it right over here. And it needs a clean, so let's do that first. Alright, chuck the vacuum cleaner across the fans real quick. See if we can slot our board back in. And then we'll see if I can remember the color codes. I think I did red to the rear, and then I think I did blue next to that. I think it was like red, white and blue. I remember that because both the Australian and the American flag are both red, white and blue. Probably not in that order. Okay, do that one. I will check that later. Now we need those thumb screws to go back in my non-magnetic screwdriver, because it used to be magnetic. I need to find my big magnet fishing magnet, which is hanging around somewhere, and remagnetize everything. Where are we, magnet? You're over here somewhere. And a bit of blue tack to go with it. Hello, magnet. Blue tack and magnets. Handy for pretty much everything. Let's go over here so you can sort of see in the periphery what I'm doing here. It's a bit of a tight place to be working here. Now my magnet's stuck to the case. What are you doing, magnet? You're doing magnet things. Alright, let's go for the easy hole. That's what she said. Right. Go that way a bit. Now that I've done that one, let's pull the other one into place. And there's my other screw right there. Isn't this riveting? Watching me do up screws. Well, actually it's not riveting, it's screwing. But you can't really go to your folks and say, hey, I'm watching this guy screw on TV or on YouTube. Because if YouTube thinks I'm screwing on camera, they'll probably take me off. I'm not monetized, so they can't demonetize me, but I probably will certainly violate the terms of service, I would say. Okay. Now, I think we're good. Let's put our lid back on and see if it fires up. Alright, where's our glass lid? Glass lid goes in at an angle. Oh, and it's dusty. When you're not looking through this thing, I've actually blown up half the LEDs on this too because I got a little bit misinformed about voltages and standards. Plus, I really don't give a crap about the LEDs. I'm not looking at them. I care about what the computer does. I'm just glad I didn't actually damage the motherboard. Alright. A bit of Windex in here. Well, it's not really Windex, it's just surface cleaner. And there's some dust inside the case. Give that a quick wipe down as I go. Give me a little bit less to do when I do the I would say biannual, but I do it about 4 times a year. I get in and give it a good spruce up and clean up. Alright, now we have in here network. Network is up there. That was what was stopping us tipping it over before. And power. Hello network. Where are you? That's network. And power. Oh, it's the case screw. And power supply screw loose. Thumb screws. There's our power. Alright, let's see if we let the magic smoke out of it. Alright, let's see how super stable works. Alright, I'm going to turn this on. If we've done it right, this will be the primary screen. Something went clunk. And now everything went quiet. I'm nervous. And none of the monitors have oh no, that one's turned on. Okay. Keyboard's lit up. Come on, give us some picture. Okay, cool. I'm happy. The clunk might have been the magnetic cover for the display. And, oh, the neighbours are busy too. But anyway, we won't talk about that. Alright, let's let this boot up. Let's boot it up. Alright, let's log in. Alright, well it's booted up. Hasn't had a hardware failure yet. And it's the time of night when my language goes up the wazoo, because I do all these videos unscripted. Alright, let's see if we can actually get this thing happening. Let's go Window E here. Now, am I seeing an additional disk? Probably not. So, I need the partition manager. Let's have a look here. Alright, must initialize this disk. Let's bring this down so you can read it. Must initialize the disk. That's good. Do I master boot record at GPT? I think I'm going to go with GPT at this point, because I know master boot record has some problems that are going to throw a spanner in the works for me. So I reckon it's 951 gig unallocated. Alright, so let's go new simple volume. I think we ought to do this as an NTFS, which I think is by default. Make the whole size usable. Guess call it D drive. I haven't mounted a D drive yet. And yes, I think it's going to be NTFS. Yep, there we go. Let's call it working drive. Then we'll do some speed tests. Alright. Ishnished. Right, we're done. Holy crap, that was quick. Alright, so let's take our Aussie Repair Guy folder here, which has got some stuff happening, which you can't see off the top of the screen, which is probably good. Neighbors are having an argument again. Alright, let's copy. Let's actually first select this drive. Let's see what's in here first. This is my working directory. Where did it go? Where did it go? Here. My working directory is 343 gig presently. That's what I have sort of in the queue waiting to happen. Let's cut that and let's paste it over to this drive here, and we'll see what we're getting as a speed. So we're looking at about 1.6 gig per second. Whilst that's transferring, we're going to load Task Manager and go Performance here, and we're going to look at our disk usage while we are transferring. Okay, so our disk usage, that's probably the highest I've ever seen that SSD work. It's about 57 or 60%. So it's writing slightly higher usage to, oh, it's toggling. I don't think anything I've ever done has actually worked at that hard. I rarely ever see that thing above 2%. So, by the way, yeah, I have a few threads. And I've got 64 gig of RAM here as well, just in case you're curious. I'm hearing more smashing coming from across the road. It's a little hard to film with all that stuff going on. But yeah, it looks like it's going to take around about 3 minutes to do that, what's left, about 270 gig. So we'll be back in a couple of minutes and see if it actually kept up that pace. Well, I was about to start saying something, but I think my neighbours have got more to say. Anyway, it's into the small stuff, so it's dropped down to about 180 meg a second. I'd expect when we get to the large continual, like the large volume files, it'll probably work better. I'm going to pause while my neighbours have their blue. Alright, well, sounds like the neighbours are finished. Some file formats it really seems to bog down on, like these MP4s. Although a lot of these are fairly small. My video just cut off halfway through there. I think it responded to a voice command of some kind. Yeah, it does seem to bog down on some of these MP4 files. And some of them are fairly sizable, like 2 and 3 gig each. And it's knocking down to about 130 meg a second. Overall, it's running at about 1.5 or 1.4849 gig per second. Something like that. So, yeah, and because I think there are some people that are hard of hearing that watch my videos, I'm going to repeat that so that captioning actually gets it right. It's between about 1.49 and about 1.5 gig per second. So, now these YUNC videos, these are from a drone that a mate of mine took some footage from. And that is, that's 4K video. But what is it? What's that popular drone brand? I forget the name of now. Oh, anyway, it's one of the expensive drones. It was about $2,500 worth. Anyway, but it seems to be bogging down on that, and they're all about 4 gig a piece. Just a little bit less than the maximum size of a FAT32 file system. So yeah, anyway, this will be finished in a minute, and we'll take a look at things. Well, you ever want to see MP3s copy fast? This is copying all the royalty-free music that I've got set aside in my working directory. It's ripping away real quick. I remember a time when my computer wasn't even fast enough to cycle through files that quickly. Wow. In fact, I remember my first computer not being able to play an MP3. Well, though I tell a lie, I got it to play something at like 64 kilobits a second. And even then it stuttered. Anyway, back shortly. Now, interesting little artifact we've run into right here. Transfer has slowed right down. Disk D is sitting at 100%, and disk C is sitting at 9%. I think disk D is kind of saturated at something. It's running at about 125 meg a second. Something's changed. I think like buffering whatnot, or it's probably about to get into the deletion phase. But yeah, even though it's doing moderately sized files, but it's really just plodding along. Plodding along at 102 meg a second, and yet, you know, I still seem to be happy with like 18 megasecond when I'm copying stuff to USB disks. So yeah, interesting. We'll almost get there. 45 seconds it reckons. Although this is Windows we're talking about, so from way back in the Windows 3.1 days, 30 seconds could mean 3 days. Or 1 second, or 29 days, or 8 seconds, or 6 hours. Though it doesn't seem to be doing it this time. It seems to be fairly consistent. Well, we're ticking down, and we're done. I'm going to expect this disk usage to drop right off when that happens. Yep, just finalizing some things. Is our disk usage going to drop off? Still reckons at 100%. I guess it's got some work to do afterwards. It's still sitting way up there at 100%. What is it doing? I think it's got... There's got to be some sort of advanced like write leveling thing going on here. Or like delayed write. So I think that's why you used to have to eject memory sticks and stuff. So they perform their delayed write. Well, it's now showing 99%. So it's having a continuous thing. So let's recap. The amount of time it took to do this was about 15 minutes, which is that, yeah, that's Windows file transfer for you. I'm tired too. So it's coming down here. So it certainly looks like it's doing some sort of delayed write function. I'm not read up well enough about how NVMe SSDs work. So I can't really tell you exactly what it's doing here, but I can make some educated guesses. Given that I know something about how SSDs work, they write by block, not by like the old mechanical drives where they write into like a particular file continuously, or with NTFS where it spreads chunks all over the disk to even up the write speed. These guys, they've got to clear an entire block. They can't just clear one file. Even though it's formatted, I'm guessing we've written so much to it, it's got a lot of blocks to clear, or it's doing some sort of write leveling thing to try and spread it out across the entirety of the disk so as not to wear the disk out unevenly. But yeah, I guess it's finished now. So let's see what we've done file size wise. So our original disk is back to... I had to yawn and pause it there. Our original disk is back to 514 gig. That doesn't seem right. Have we actually... Okay, that's not there. Good. So it has actually removed that. Let's perhaps empty our recycle bin, which has got a lot of stuff in it. Alright, so I'm not sure how much stuff is in here, but let's empty the recycle bin. Yep. Before I've checked that they're permanently moved across. So we've filled up 587 gig of our 931 gig drive by copying 430 gig across to it. Interesting that perhaps things were compressed on the primary drive. 343 gig. Okay. 587 used. Huh. Not sure how that works. Let's refresh this. There's something going on that drive. I'm going to figure this out and be back. Alright, so upon further investigation, I'm pretty sure this is just some sort of display anomaly here, because the properties show 369 gig used and 631 free. Makes sense. Now, free space is 587 gig free of 931. That is me misreading it and being a tard because I'm so tired. In fact, no disrespect to retards in that comment. I use it as a colloquial reference, not as a derogatory one. Now, so I think we're about right. Everything kind of stacks up. So, we might as well get on to editing this video. So, I hope you've had fun and watched me make a fool of myself and nearly tip my camera over. And bumble my way through stuff when I'm not awake and not ready to do it. but we'll get a video out for the channel, a bit more content, and when it stops flooding there might be some interesting stuff surrounding the ambulance and the Argo and stuff. It's the river at the moment right where I am is come up about 5 meters, I think. It's pretty well flooded, so I think that there's trees down everywhere. I think I'm going to be out with the Argo and a chainsaw helping some people out, provided people actually ask me to. They may not. If that's the case, I can't really help people that don't want to be asked to help. And also there are authorities saying stay out of some places, and you know, I don't want to go and force my help on people that don't need it or want it. So any case, that's the end of this video, and we'll see you all again in the next one.